Hi, everybody, and welcome to this special episode of the Dr. Keith Darrow Podcast. Today, we welcome a very special guest and somebody that I genuinely, in my heart, consider a friend. Marjorie Clark Houk is with us from Helping Hand Automation. Marjorie, welcome, and thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Keith. I'm super happy to be here today.
Yeah, it's no secret. Marjorie and I have been friends and working together for many years now. Mm-hmm. I have really, been in the clinic, been owning practices, and I have been relying on Marjorie and her team at Helping Hand Automation to really help build the backbone of our practice. I've said it to you, Marjorie. I say it every time I meet a new client of our coaching group that you can't run a practice without automation. You need to nurture your patients. You need to stay in touch with them. But more importantly, it has to be real. It can't be canned. It can't be a template. It has to be a genuine interaction with patients. And that's what Helping Hand Automation delivers in hearing healthcare. So, Marjorie, tell us a bit about your story. I guess I want to know your why, because you're not from hearing healthcare, right? That wasn't your background, but you found your way, thankfully for all of us, you found your way here. But why do you get out of bed every day? Why do you do this? Why are you now a phenomenal small business, owner?
Yeah. No, I get out of bed every morning and go to work at Helping Hand in order to make clinic owners' lives easier. I have a background in project management and communications, and I do what I do to take work and tasks and projects off of the plate of the clinic owner so that they can do what they want to do, whether that's treat patients and be in the room with the patient, or go to their kids' play in the evening, or have extra time to go to the soccer game. That's why I do it, is so that they have time to do the things that light them up that they want to do. So
you're bringing back, I think, the word nightmare that I'm thinking bears of pre-Helping Hand, pre-automation, like literally writing birthday cards and having like my whole family, help out and stuff envelopes, and whether it be a test report, a happy birthday card, a phone call, a text message, I guess I hadn't thought about these things in a while. They've been buried in a deep, dark place because you've relieved that. So what are some of the pieces of automation that you specialize in?
Yeah. So a huge part of what we do is nurturing prospects from when they first hear about you and opt into something on your website or on a landing page, to getting them in to book an appointment and to get them in the room so you can have a conversation with them. That is a huge portion of what it is that we do, is to nurture and educate that prospect from the beginning to get them into the room.
But let's dive in there, because that's deep, right? That's a huge thing. The average patient waits 7 to 10 years to treat their hearing loss. And what I just heard you say is you're trying to shorten that length of time.
Yes. Yeah. The stats that we pulled with the clients that we've worked with since 2016, what we've been doing, nurtured leads produce about 20% increase in sales opportunities. So if you have a 20% increase in your treatment rate, what does that mean for you and your business? And that's something that we can help contribute for.
Wow, that's an amazing number. I'm not a numbers guy. I like to treat my patients and learn my science, but I never even realized how powerful. I knew it worked, and I believe in it. But to hear that number, that's pretty fascinating. So let's talk about what you mean by. All right, so I think we know what prospect means. Somebody who just raised their hand. Maybe they stuck their pinky toe in the water. Right. They know they have a problem, or for a loved one. What do you mean by nurture? Tell me what that nurturing looks like.
Sure. So what we like to see at the clinics we work with is for them to offer more information. Traditional marketing is really focused on book an appointment or do nothing. And we really like to see that secondary offer, whether that's a research report or a book like yours, or a frequently asked questions, just a one-sheet PDF for somebody to opt in for. So we're looking for clinics to offer more information to get that patient, that prospect further down the road, to answer some of those questions before they get to the clinic, before they get in the room. So we're talking about really the link between dementia and hearing loss, or what it means to treat tinnitus, which is not curable, right? And to offer that information before they book an appointment to really solidify the importance of the appointment and the treatment of whatever loss that they may have once they get in and are determined that they have loss. And so, to really drive home the point that if there is an issue, if you do have loss, you really need to take action and treat that earlier rather than later.
So you have a nurture program that's rooted in education. We're not talking about, right? Because some people might hear nurturing and reaching out and like, wow, you're a pest. You're a pain in the butt. And you're constantly offering me this binary decision of book an appointment or don't, buy or don't. This sounds like there really is a third option for our patients.
Absolutely, there's a third option. And the third option really works. We, as consumers, we need 7 to 12 pieces of information about something before we take action on it. That's a proven email marketing statistic. And so we also treat hearing loss patients or send them information under the same statistic. They need information. If they're not getting information and they're doing their own research online, hopping from clinic to clinic in their town, seeing which one fits them or says the thing that they want to hear, it's going to take them 7 years to make that decision, right? And we know that. And so if we can help educate them on their process, then that education helps move them a little bit faster. And if you're the one educating them, they come to you.
Interesting. So I want to tell my little story, and then I would love for you to fill in the gaps, because I don't know all the pieces. Even though I took part, I helped in writing some of them. I downloaded bits of my brain and education, and then you customize it, and everybody in their practice does it the same way. But here's my story of when somebody says, does nurturing work? Here's the story I tell. Yeah. It was about 2016 or so. I did an educational symposium in my community in central Massachusetts. It was actually one of the first ones we did. The room sat 80. We ended up with 120 people in the room. So it was standing room only. It was an awesome event. A lot of patients came in, and it was, for lack of a better term, it was kind of spike marketing, right? Sure. We ran these ads, people came in, and then a bunch of them immediately started treatment. And then for most practices, the rest would sort of die off and disappear, and we'd never hear from them again.
Right.
Now, fast forward to 2020, early on, before COVID and all that, or maybe it was late 2019, a patient came into my practice and said, I'm ready. And I just said, okay, great. Well, then I'm ready to help you. And he said, no, I don't know if you remember me. I came to your symposium at the Worcester Art Museum. Now, I only did one event there, and it was 4 years ago. So he started with me 4 years ago. Helping Hand Automation kept in contact with him. And then when he was ready, he came in. So what was that 4 years like? Try to paint the picture of what journey that patient was on and how, without me even knowing it, we stayed in constant contact with him.
Yeah. So I love that so much. First of all, it's such an amazing story. And many of our clinics have stories very similar, especially when they've done a powerful live event that is really heavy on the education of the hearing loss and the long-term effects of that. And then when you couple that live event with the book, which, at the time was Stop Living in Isolation, right? When they came to your event, you talked to them about dementia, and then you gave them a book, right? You gave them more information and more education. And so over time, what happens after that is they have access, obviously, to the book and the information in the book, but in the automation, they're getting your monthly email newsletter, right?
Okay.
In which you're also educating about a topic of the month, whether it's a comorbidity on diabetes or vision or balance or something like that. And then they're also getting information about new technology and the impacts and developments in new technology over those 4 years, getting that information. They're seeing your whatever it is that you're posting on social media that's education based, not widget based, right? Because we're not selling things, we are treating hearing loss, right? And so they're getting those pieces of information over those 4 years. And then when they're ready to take that step in treating their loss, they've received 4 years of educational, medically sound based information from your clinic. And then they say, okay, this guy's not going to sell me, right? This guy's going to treat my loss. He's not going to sell me something. And then there's a lot of trust that comes from that long-term nurture and making that decision.
Now there it is. I knew that word was going to come out, which is trust.
Trust.
What we did with that patient. And that's just the one that comes right to mind. And like you said, every clinic you work with has a similar story. We built our trust. Look, I think the first thing we need to admit to ourselves is there is a trust issue in hearing healthcare.
Absolutely.
People are afraid. They're worried about taking the risk, about losing money, whatever it may be. Everybody's got a horror story about a family member or a friend when it comes to hearing healthcare. So
Yes.
We need to be different. And so we're being different through education, and we're building trust in our community with our patients who, like I said, this patient, he dipped his toe by being a relatively anonymous face in a big crowd. And then I continued to stay in touch with him. Via you. I didn't have to do anything.
The clinic did. It was your message. Yeah.
Right. Well, yes. I mean, it was a message that, and I know you sit down with all of your clinics and like, what's the messaging? What is it that we want to get out there? I know you have examples, but I know you also customize because look, I know, there's a long story behind Helping Hand. It's been around for a long time. It used to be Audma. It used to be a 2-man show with you and Jared Brader. But so there's more automation companies, but I feel like the difference is it's customized automation. It's really not, this sort of canned automation, which is what you see some of the OMSs coming out with, some of the buying groups coming out with. So how are you different?
I think one of them, two parts. One is the customizable content. Of course, we have a framework that we start with, but every single email, every single text message, every single voicemail drop, customizable. We want the message to be in line with the clinic's and the clinic owner's values and their message. That's how it works. And that's how you build trust. Because if the content that we're sending is a different message than what they're going to get from the provider in the room, we've broken that trust and it doesn't work. And so it has to be the same message externally and internally. It has to be the same. So that's a main part of it. The other part is that, the 3 main operating systems in the clinic we have connected to. So the data that comes into the OMS after the appointment or when the appointment is booked, from appointment type to the outcome of that appointment, feeds into the automation system and sends the exact message based on the outcome of that appointment, whether it's a treatment start or a tinnitus appointment or a tested not treated, or if they're even an upgrade eligible patient that did not upgrade, there's a custom message for that patient too. So we're able to take, because of the data from the operating system, from your cycle, your console, or your blueprint, because that data comes in and we get exactly what the exact outcome and data is from the system, we can segment your database very easily into different groups of people to get a very custom message for their exact situation.
So you said a lot there. I want to try to unpack it. No, I mean, it's so much good information. Something I'm going to write down because I want to circle back on. You said the word voicemail drop, which I think I know what you mean, but people listening might not know.
Might not.
So I'll come back to that one.
Okay.
But I want to talk about this integration because I had this wave of emotions come over me when you were telling the story, which is, oh my gosh, if I were to start automation today, I have to do so much work. I have to list segment. I got to make sure that all my patients are right. I got to check this off. I got to do this. I get what you're saying. You can only be as good as the information you get from the practice. Yeah. I mean, it just sounds like a lot of upfront work, but maybe it's not. So what is that upfront process like to get synced with the data? I mean, maybe I'm not that great putting in my data in my OMS.
Sure. It is a lot of garbage in, garbage out, right? And so the quality of that garbage really matters. When we bring in a client who is brand new starting automation, we get access to your database, HIPAA compliant, access to that database and that data. And we are the ones who sort through all of that data. You give us access and say, okay, go. And me and my team, we're the ones who sift through and sort through all of that to segment out your database.
How do you know if a patient's got hearing aids, doesn't have hearing aids, tested, not treated, tested, not upgrade? I mean, our field comes up with all sorts of crazy
all
categories.
Kinds of things. Yeah. At a very base level, we're looking at a hearing test date and a purchase date. At very, very minimum, that's what we're looking at. And so in your database, if they do not have a hearing test date, they're a prospect. They've never been in for an appointment. If they have a hearing test date, but not a purchase date, they're tested, not treated, right? Okay. They've never had devices added to their contact record, right? If they have a purchase date, then we can look at the specifics of that date and figure out who's a 4+ user and who's not, right? So then now we know who's a current user and who's upgrade eligible. And at a very base level, that's what we need.
So and I just heard there's go on.
That all comes through automatically. So once we have access to your system, that data comes through automatically. There's no download that you have to do. There's no segmenting that you need to do on your side. We just get that information. It happens automatically.
So you can so basically you'll take the data, segment it, and then present it back to the clinic to, I assume, review, spot check. Now, what about a lot of people are guilty of this, and I understand why. Sometimes we, let's say we acquire or we buy a list, we drop it in, but we've never really seen them. So what I hear you saying is it's also an opportunity to clean up your database.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is one of the main things that we do when somebody first comes on with us is target those prospects. And we try to get them in for a hearing evaluation, for a full diagnostic test, and see who is going to engage with your clinic and who's not. And after a period of time, we would recommend that you delete those folks who are not engaging, especially on a bot list. They're just going to muck up your system and take up space, and they're going to make you think that you have more opportunity buried in there than you do, right? So let's get a real number and get those folks out of your system.
I mean, it's really cool because the thought of data mining is overwhelming, but there really is so much power. There's so many pockets of profitability I'm sure you've come across. I'm sure you've looked at databases and you're like, look, you got 800 people that come in on a regular basis and they have 5-year-old plus hearing aids or 4-year-old plus hearing aids. I mean, I can't do math that fast, but that's a lot of money.
That's a lot. That's a lot of potential. And we know that patients who have purchased from you before, are more likely to purchase from you again, right? So they are actually that upgrade eligible list, that bucket is your most profitable, your most untapped profitable bucket in your database.
Now, so let's go over again. What is something that would hold somebody back from saying, I want to do automation?
Mm-hmm. I think the main thing, what we just talked about, the idea that you need to have all of the segments and get everything set up, and that falls on you as the clinic owner. And for us, that's not true. There's no setup that you have to do. You just need to give us access to your information, and we do all of the setup. And so there is no additional work on your part, aside from making sure that the messaging is correct, right? So let's work together to make sure that the messaging is correct. But after that, everything else we take care of. And so that extra work isn't falling on your plate, it's falling on our plate. That is one of the most discussed things with our prospects and people that I talk to is, I need to grow, but it's going to take me more work to do it. And that doesn't have to be true.
Well, that's that's always everybody's biggest fear. I want to grow, but I also want to see my kids grow. I want to see my garden grow. I want to see something other than the inside four walls of my practice.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. What type of practice do you have? I don't want to say an ideal practice, but what is it like? What are you looking for? When should somebody say, I think I should at least consider automation?
Yeah. So initially, somebody should consider automation when they are getting more leads than they can follow up with. And so if they're getting, 100 leads, I don't want to actually put a hard number to it. So any number of leads really coming in from your digital marketing efforts, your Facebook, your Google ads, those kinds of things. And you're not following up with those patients and they're not booking appointments. Those are opportunities. Those are people who are raising their hand and saying, I need help, but I'm not sure exactly what help looks like for me. It's your job as the clinic owner to tell them and educate them what kind of help is available for them. And if you're not doing that, you're missing out. And so if you have prospects coming into your clinic that are not booking appointments, you need to figure out a more efficient way to educate those patients. And that means automation.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think there is a number. It could be 1, it could be 100. A lost lead is a life that you could have changed. Mm-hmm. And that's so powerful. And then look, as a business owner, that one life also, that one revenue. Patient is revenue for you to grow your practice, for you to pay your bills. So right, you want to be able to respond. And I'm sure you've seen a change over the last 8 years or so, right? Like, I want it and I want it now. I want it and I want it yesterday.
Yeah.
So you have to respond to your potential patients faster.
Yes. Yeah. I think especially the changes that we've seen over these last years, when people are doing research, when they do finally opt in for something and raise their hand for help, they need an immediate response. And there's something that we've called essentially the coffee break response. People are looking at information or researching information online during their break, right? If you think of yourself as a consumer, when are you looking at something? It's when your kid is napping. It's when you're having a light coffee break. It's when you're having your lunch break. And the goal of the clinic should be to respond to that inquiry in that same coffee break. To respond nearly immediately. And so the automation, the way that is working is when that person opts in for something, there's a notification that goes to the clinic and that phones person gets that email or that text message and they call immediately.
Wow. So I got to say, I think we took the first 10, 15 minutes and we focused on all those, somebody opts in, we send them some emails, we send them some text messages. That's a huge point of differentiation for helping hand automation in that, like, if I'm right, everybody does it. When you go and you look at the cafeteria or you look someplace and everybody's sitting around having lunch, they're not talking to each other.
No, they're on their phone.
They're on their phones and they say, "Oh, this website looks interesting," or "I got to try to help my mom go get her hearing aids. Let me, put my name in this. Let me chat with this team." And what I just heard you say is now there's this, magical behind the scenes automation that's happening that's dropping that name, that phone number into a system, alerting your front office. Your front office can say, "Hey, Bill, I saw that you were just looking at our report about treating tinnitus. I'd love to answer any questions you have and help you get an appointment." I mean, that's insane.
It's amazing. Beautiful. Yeah. And we know that also that nobody these days answers a phone call from a number that they do not know. Right. Yeah. And so part of the automation that's built in is additional step of a text message. So we're sending a text message before your patient care coordinator calls them that says, "Hi, this is Jane from the Hearing Center. Can I call you in the next 15 minutes about the information you just downloaded?" Right. And then that person has the opportunity to respond back and say, "Actually, now's not a good time. Can you call me tomorrow at 10?" And then our patient care coordinator is saying, "Absolutely, yes," and marking their calendar to call that patient back at 10 o'clock tomorrow. So your answers go up, the conversations go up, the quality of those conversations increase, and then the number of appointments booked in your number of opportunities booked on your calendar goes up as well.
Wow. I mean, seeing automation go from let's build a system where people get regular emails and newsletters to as soon as they interact, we're there for them. We interact with them. We've beat the potential spam system by sending a text first. So now the phone knows the name and the phone number. I mean, there's some pretty creative things happening at Helping Hand. That really is. I mean, I've always thought it's a few steps ahead, and I guess I don't even realize at times how powerful your software program has become and how smart it's become. That's very, very, very impressive. So give us, before we head off here, what are some of the fun campaigns? Because I believe that's the word. So what are some of the fun campaigns that you guys have built over the years that others can now take advantage of? So you said voicemail drop. And I kind of remember years ago I think I recorded myself singing "Happy Birthday."
Yes.
And I think I remember somebody saying, "Well, we're going to voicemail drop that," meaning if today were my birthday, I would check my phone, there'd be a voicemail, and I'd be singing "Happy Birthday" to myself.
Yes. So. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But what are some of the fun campaigns?
Yeah. So the happy birthday is a fun one because the automation will automatically send a gift, an email, a card, a voicemail drop, a text message, however it is that you want to wish that person, a happy, healthy next year. Can happen. The other thing that a lot of our clinics that we work with are participating in are their local best of voting campaigns. So these are campaigns run, these are contests run by sort of local media companies.
Like a newspaper, best of Central Massachusetts, best of Southern Utah. Okay, yeah.
Exactly. So what we can do is take that request for your patients to vote, right? We want everybody to vote for your provider and your clinic as the best in the area. That increases your Google reviews, like your standing, all of those sorts of things. It's a big marketing opportunity for every clinic. And so what we do to support that is to send an email to everybody in the database from the provider that says, "We're participating in this, contest. Please vote for us." And it's a reminder and just an awareness campaign to your patients and prospects that, hey, they should maybe vote for you.
So they should really vote for you. You just reminded them that you were nominated best of. I mean, it's a win-win-win.
Yeah. And however the voting rules happen for that contest, sometimes they can vote every day, right? In some of these contests. And so we're sending an email or a text message every day to remind somebody to vote. Now, a lot of them are not that aggressive. So we'll just send a handful of emails and a text message over the month to just remind people gently to vote for your clinic. So I think that's a really fun thing.
When you get into healthcare, which is what we are, yes. I think you do have to strike a chord of gentle versus annoying, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want a text message from my doctor every 15 minutes that I should vote for them. But, every couple of days, remind me, hey, if you have a chance, could you do it? I love that. And you said the word reviews. So yes, look, our clinics are the highest rated in the country. Mm-hmm. And look, because of the number of reviews we've got, A, they're all genuine reviews. Mm-hmm. B, we ask them, but C, the real secret to that success is that we were able to automate the review process, which made it really easy. So after, Mr. Smith left the appointment, we asked him, he said yes, that he would do it, and we would make it easy for him. We're not going to expect him to go home, find us on Google, leave us a review. That doesn't happen. But if we send him a gentle text message that says, hey, click this button if you'd like to leave us a review. And your system knows, correct, that if they didn't push the button, well, then we could send it again in a couple of days. Hey, you mentioned you'd leave a review. So, so honored you would do that. Here's another opportunity to do that. So you're gently moving them in that position. And I mean, we've garnered, I think we've almost crossed the 3,000 5-star review mark.
Yeah.
When you combine all of our clinics, and that's thanks to Helping Hand automation sort of working in the background.
Yeah, we know that you have to make it very easy, right? And so even at the exit desk, handing somebody a business card with your web address on it for them to go then navigate to and enter in their information, they're not likely to do that. And so if we're sending them an email and a text message that just has a link that they can click on and do really quickly in 2 minutes, that works. We have to make it easy.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think, what do you see as some of the challenges in automation in the coming years?
One of the things that we've seen over the last year actually is with the new Apple update, which people may not be all up on, but something that we are up on because it's our business. Google and Apple are changing the way that email is tracked, right? And so we, in the past, have looked a lot at open rates, right? How many emails did you send, and how many people opened them? That's no longer a viable metric because Apple is essentially hiding how many people are opening email. It's a privacy thing, right? And so consumers are looking for more privacy. And so Apple has made this update last fall. And so what we're looking for is engagement. So not only opened, but did they click on something? So we're moving a lot toward video and using video in email so that there's an engagement metric to follow with the marketing. So that's a big thing, moving toward video to make the email marketing more robust.
More robust and more personal.
More personal, absolutely.
I'd much rather see a video with my doctor giving me some education or information. I mean, I think all of us are becoming more visual consumers than actually sitting there and reading something. Heaven forbid.
Yeah. And let me just make one more point there. Yeah. I went to a marketing conference a couple of years ago, and they were making the big move from talking about your why, which is so powerful, to talking about who you are. And so there's a shift in consumers that they might agree with your why, but who are you? And they're looking for brands that they align with on a personal value front. And so using video and showing your face and using your actual voice to talk to your patients about what you do, why you do it, and who you are helps tremendously build that trust and that authority on what you're doing. And it helps them get to know you. They feel like they know you
Sure.
when you use your voice and
the
your
camera
face.
doesn't lie. The camera doesn't lie, right?
Right.
And so
right.
your passion, your genuine passion will come through, even if you're not, a movie star and
Right.
took acting lessons. If you're just yourself, your passion and your motivation will come
and
through.
People connect with who you are as a real person.
Who you are, how you make them feel, as opposed to what you sell and what you do. Absolutely. That's a great point. All right. Last question. I promise I've already kept you longer than I said I would. Why helping hand automation? Why not can I just go hire somebody to do all this stuff for me? Can I just hire somebody to send those emails for me, or to, call somebody and say happy birthday? I mean, why not just do that?
Sure. You can.
I guess, right. Yeah, you can. You can tell people.
You can do that. If you do that, you are spending all of the time, and that person is spending all of your clinic's time building everything from scratch, and refining all of that from scratch. And so we have a ready to go, ready to implement system. It takes a month to set up because it is complex and it does connect to your OMS, right? But the content, the message, it's ready to go. A couple edits from you and we're done. And if you're hiring somebody, just from a business perspective, if you're hiring somebody to do that, not only are you looking at the impact of their salary, but their taxes and their benefits and all of those things, right? If you're with us, you're hiring an outside contractor, and you can hire us as an outside contractor for a monthly fee that is less than what you will pay for one phone person to come into your clinic and make mediocre phone calls.
Absolutely. Yeah, you want to hire somebody who understands automation. You're talking a computer geek. You're talking a project manager. You're talking somebody that no matter where you are in this country, you're looking at 80 grand plus, if not as high as 120 or more. And you're a tiny little fraction of the cost. You're proven. You don't call out sick. You don't need automation doesn't need family leave. I mean, you guys can take family leave, but the system still runs.
The system is still running. Yeah. And you have access to a full team, right? Like project manager, like you said, automation builder, reports guru, like we're reporting back to you every single month what's going on in your system. And
very cool.
And we're up to date on what the latest is in email marketing and marketing automation, right? So as a consumer, you may or may not know about Apple's updates last September, but it's our business to know. We have to know. And so there are those updates that come through in the tech world and in the system that we need to know about, that you don't have to know because we do.
You got it handled. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Marjorie, thank you so much. Of course, this wouldn't be one of my interviews without asking you, let's see, favorite movie. Let's go with that.
Oh, Goonies.
Goonies. I love it.
I love a good adventure.
That is awesome. Holy Mary, Mother of God, when the boat comes out.
It takes you back. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to have to go watch that now. Marjorie, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for helping the audience understand more about automation and really building a system that can help you to grow your practice without any growing pains, without the worry of, oh my gosh, this is another vendor I have to manage and it's going to take so much work. You truly are, I think, one of those key ingredients for any healthcare practice who wants to grow, who wants to communicate better and be more personal with their patients and really become the trusted authority in their community. So thank you for all you do.
All right, thanks, Keith.
All right. Take care, Marjorie.
You too.